The storm came without warning. One moment the sky was clear and orange. The next it turned black with clouds that rolled like angry waves. Yuna had seen storms on this planet before, but nothing like this. The wind screamed through the colony buildings, and the rain fell so hard it hurt the skin. Yuna was a medic. She had come to this distant world 3 years ago to help build a new home for humans. The planet was called Varus IV, and it was beautiful but dangerous. Many creatures lived in the forests beyond the colony walls. Some were small and harmless, others were not. The Vorax were the most feared. They were large predators that looked like a mix between wolves and lions, but with 6 legs and scales instead of fur. Their eyes glowed red in the dark. Their teeth could cut through metal. The colonists had learned to stay away from them. The Vorax had learned to stay away from humans too. There was an unspoken agreement. You do not bother us. We do not bother you. Yuna was running back to the medical building when she heard the sound. It was small and weak, almost lost in the noise of the storm. She stopped and listened. There it was again. A cry. Not human. Something else. She should have kept running. She knew that. But Yuna had never been good at walking away from things that needed help. It was why she became a medic in the first place. Her mother used to say that Yuna had a heart too big for her own good. Her mother was probably right. Yuna followed the sound. It led her to a drainage ditch at the edge of the colony. The water was rising fast, turning the ditch into a small river, and there, caught against a metal grate, was a small creature. It was a Vorax cub. Yuna had never seen one up close before. It was the size of a large dog, with dark purple scales that looked almost black in the rain. Its 6 legs kicked weakly against the water. Its eyes, not yet the glowing red of an adult, were a soft orange color. They looked at Yuna with fear, and something else. Hope, maybe, or desperation. The smart thing to do was to leave it. Everyone in the colony knew that Vorax were dangerous. Even the cubs could bite hard enough to take off a finger. And if an adult Vorax found a human near its young, that human would not live long enough to regret the mistake. But the cub was drowning. Yuna could see it struggling to keep its head above the water. The current was too strong, and the cub was too weak. Yuna jumped into the ditch. The water was cold and fast. It pushed against her legs and tried to knock her down. She grabbed the metal grate with one hand and reached for the cub with the other. The cub snapped at her, its small teeth catching her glove but not her skin. Yuna did not pull back. She grabbed the cub by the loose scales at the back of its neck and lifted it out of the water. The cub was heavier than it looked. Yuna held it against her chest as she climbed out of the ditch. The cub stopped fighting. It pressed its body against hers and made a sound that was almost like a purr. Yuna could feel it shaking. She ran back to the medical building. The storm was getting worse. Lightning split the sky, and thunder shook the ground. Yuna burst through the door and laid the cub on an examination table. Now she could see how bad things were. The cub had a deep cut on its side. The blood was dark blue, almost purple. One of its front legs was bent at a wrong angle. Broken. Probably. And its breathing was fast and shallow. Yuna did not know much about Vorax biology. No human did. But she knew about wounds and broken bones and shock. She knew how to stop bleeding, and how to set bones, and how to keep a creature alive when its body wanted to give up. She worked for 2 hours. She cleaned the wound and closed it with medical glue. She set the broken leg and wrapped it tight. She gave the cub water and a nutrient solution that she hoped would not poison it. The cub watched her the whole time with those orange eyes. It did not try to bite her again. When Yuna was finished, she sat down on the floor next to the table. She was exhausted. Her clothes were wet and cold. Her hands were stained with blue-purple blood. But the cub was breathing slowly now. Peacefully. It was going to live. The door opened. Tejo walked in, shaking water from his jacket. He was the colony leader. A tall man with gray hair and a face that had seen too many hard years. He stopped when he saw the cub on the table. "What is that?" he asked. His voice was calm, but Yuna could hear the warning in it. "A Vorax cub," Yuna said. I found it in the drainage ditch. It was drowning. Teho walked closer. He looked at the cub, then at Yuna. You brought a Vorax into the colony. It would have died. It is a predator, Yuna. Its kind have killed 7 colonists since we landed here. It is a baby, Yuna said. It cannot hurt anyone. Teho shook his head. You do not understand these creatures. They are not like the animals on Earth. They do not bond with other species. They do not feel gratitude or loyalty. When this thing gets strong enough, it will try to eat you. Yuna looked at the cub. It had closed its eyes now. Its breathing was slow and even. One of its paws twitched slightly, like it was dreaming. I will take that chance, she said. Teho was silent for a long moment. Then he sighed. You have always been stubborn. Your mother warned me about that. When you joined the colony. You knew my mother? She was my friend, long ago. She asked me to watch over you. Teho walked to the door. Keep that thing in the medical building. If it causes any trouble at all, I will have it killed. Do you understand? I understand, Yuna said. Teho left. Yuna stayed on the floor, watching the cub sleep. She did not know why she had saved it. She did not know what would happen tomorrow or the day after that. She only knew that she could not have let it die. The cub opened its eyes for a moment. It looked at Yuna. Then it made that purring sound again and went back to sleep. Yuna smiled. I think I will call you Bora, she said softly. It means storm. Because that is how I found you. The cub did not answer. But somehow, Yuna felt like it understood. Outside, the storm continued to rage. But inside the medical building, a human and a Vorax cub slept side by side, not knowing that their lives had just changed forever. 3 months passed on Varus 4. The seasons changed slowly on this world. The orange sky turned to a deeper red as the planet moved closer to its sun. The days grew longer and hotter. The colonists worked hard to prepare for the warm season, fixing buildings and storing water and food. Bora grew fast, very fast. When Yuna first found the cub, Bora was the size of a large dog. Now Bora was the size of a small horse. The purple scales had darkened to a deep violet color that shimmered in the light. The broken leg had healed perfectly, and those orange eyes were starting to show hints of red around the edges. Yuna was not afraid. She probably should have been, but she was not. Every morning, Bora would be waiting outside the medical building. The cub would press its large head against Yuna's chest and make that purring sound. Yuna would scratch the soft spot behind Bora's ears, the only place on the creature's body where there were no scales. Then they would walk together through the colony, Bora staying close to Yuna's side like a shadow. The other colonists watched them with fear and confusion. They whispered to each other when Yuna passed. They kept their children inside when Bora was near. Some of them sent angry messages to Teho, demanding that he get rid of the creature before it killed someone. Teho did nothing. He had made a promise to watch over Yuna, and he was a man who kept his promises. But he was also a man who trusted his own eyes. And his eyes showed him something strange. The Vorax cub, this creature from a species known only for violence and hunger, followed Yuna around like a loyal pet. It never threatened anyone. It never even growled at the colonists who threw rocks at it or shouted at it to go away. One day, Teho came to the medical building to talk to Yuna. He found her outside, sitting on the ground with Bora's head in her lap. She was reading from a tablet, while her other hand scratched behind Bora's ears. The creature's eyes were closed, and it was making that strange purring sound. It looks happy, Teho said. Yuna looked up and smiled. Bora is female. I checked. How can you tell? The scales on the belly are slightly different. I have been reading everything I can find about Vorax biology. There is not much, but there is some. Teho sat down on a nearby box. He watched Bora for a moment. The creature opened one eye, looked at him, then closed it again. No growl, no threat, just a look of mild interest, like Teho was not worth waking up for. The colonists are scared, Teho said. They want me to send it away. Or kill it. Her, Yuna corrected. And no, I will not let that happen. I did not say I would do it. I said the colonists want me to. Teho paused. But I need to understand something. Why does this creature stay with you? Vorax do not bond with other species. It is not in their nature. We've now. Yuna was quiet for a moment. She looked down at Bora, still sleeping peacefully in her lap. I do not know, she said finally. Maybe the scientists were wrong about Vorax's nature. Or maybe Bora is different, because I saved her when she was young. Or maybe... She stopped. Maybe what? Maybe she is just lonely, like me. Teho did not know what to say to that. He had known Yuna for 3 years. She was always friendly, always smiling, always ready to help anyone who needed it. But he had never seen her form close friendships with the other colonists. She kept herself apart somehow. Not unfriendly, just distant. You are not alone, Yuna, Teho said gently. You have the whole colony. Yuna smiled, but it was a sad smile. I know. But it is not the same. Bora does not care that I am the medic, or that I am useful to the colony. She just cares that I am Yuna. Do you understand? The sense keys. I looking laser. I looking laser. I looking laser just a Valipond. Do you understand? Teho nodded slowly. He did understand. On Earth, he had once had a dog that looked at him the same way Bora looked at Yuna. With complete trust and love, with no expectations or demands, just pure, simple connection. Be careful, he said as he stood up. The Vorax are pack animals. They live in groups of 10 or 20. If Bora's pack comes looking for her, they will not hurt us, Yuna said. I am sure of it. How can you be sure? Yuna looked at Bora. The creature opened both eyes now, as if she knew she was being talked about. Those orange-red eyes met Yuna's brown ones. Because Bora would not let them, Yuna said. Teho left, shaking his head. He hoped Yuna was right. He hoped that this bond between human and Vorax was real, but he had lived long enough to know that hope was not always enough. That night, something happened that changed everything. Yuna was working late in the medical building. A colonist had cut his hand while working on a machine, and she was cleaning and wrapping the wound. Bora was sleeping in her usual spot by the door. Suddenly, Bora's head snapped up. Her eyes went wide and bright red. A low growl came from her throat. What is it? Yuna asked. Bora stood up and walked to the window. She pressed her nose against the glass and looked out into the darkness. The growl grew louder. Yuna finished wrapping the colonist's hand and went to the window. She could not see anything at first. The night on Varus 4 was very dark, with no moon and clouds covering the stars. Then she saw them. Eyes. Dozens of red eyes, glowing in the darkness beyond the colony fence. Vorax. A whole pack of them. The colonist saw them too. He made a sound of fear and ran out of the building, shouting for help. Within minutes, the whole colony was awake. Lights came on everywhere. People grabbed weapons and pointed them at the fence. But the Vorax did not attack. They just stood there, watching, waiting. Yuna opened the door of the medical building. Bora walked out slowly. The creature stopped at the edge of the light and looked back at Yuna. Then she walked toward the fence. Bora, no! Yuna called. Bora did not listen. She walked to the fence and stopped. The pack of Vorax on the other side moved closer. They were huge. Much bigger than Bora. Their scales were darker, their eyes brighter, their teeth longer. One of them, the largest, stepped forward. It pressed its nose against the fence, right where Bora was standing. They looked at each other for a long moment. Then the large Vorax made a sound. It was not a growl or a roar. It was something else, something almost like a word. Bora made the same sound back. They talked. Yuna did not know how else to describe it. The Vorax talked to each other in that strange language of sounds and movements. The colonists watched in silence, too scared and confused to do anything. Finally, The large Vorax stepped back. It looked at Yuna with those bright red eyes. Then it turned and walked away into the darkness. The rest of the pack followed. Bora came back to Yuna. She pressed her head against Yuna's chest and purred. "What did you tell them?" Yuna whispered. Bora looked up at her. And for just a moment, Yuna could have sworn she saw the creature smile. The pack never came back after that night. But Yuna knew they were out there. Somewhere in the forest. Watching. Waiting. Not as enemies anymore. But as something else. She did not know what. She only knew that Bora had protected her. And Bora always would. 6 more months passed. Life in the colony went on, as it always did. People worked, ate, slept, and tried to build a future on this strange world so far from Earth. The fear of the Vorax slowly faded after that night, when the pack came and left without violence. Some colonists even started to accept Bora, though most still kept their distance. Bora was now fully grown. She stood as tall as Yuna's shoulder when, on all 6 legs, and her scales had turned the deep purple-black color of an adult Vorax. Her eyes glowed bright red in the dark, and her teeth were long and sharp enough to bite through steel. But when she was with Yuna, she still acted like a cub. She still pressed her head against Yuna's chest. She still purred when Yuna scratched behind her ears. She still followed Yuna everywhere like a shadow. The colonists had learned to live with this strange sight, the human medic and her Vorax. They did not understand it, but they accepted it. Then the ship came. It appeared in the sky one morning, a dark shape against the orange clouds. It was not like the colony supply ships that came every few months from Earth. This ship was ugly and rough, covered in patches and repairs. It looked like something put together from pieces of other ships. Tejo gathered the colony leaders in his office. "I have been trying to contact them," he said. "They do not respond. Their ship has no identification codes. No flag. Nothing." "Pirates?" one of the leaders asked. "Maybe, or worse." Tejo looked at the screen showing the ship. "I have heard stories about groups that operate in the outer colonies. They take people, sell them to mining companies or worse. Slavers," Yuna said. She had come to the meeting even though she was not a leader. No one had asked her to leave. "What do we do?" "We have weapons," another leader said. "We can fight. We are farmers and builders," Tejo said. "They are criminals who do this for a living. If they want to take us, we cannot stop them." The room went quiet. Everyone knew he was right. The colony had some weapons for protection against wild animals, but nothing that could stand against professional criminals. The ship landed an hour later, right in the middle of the colony's main square. The colonists watched from their windows and doorways as the door opened and the strangers walked out. There were about 30 of them. They were a mix of species, human and alien. They wore dirty clothes and carried big guns. Their leader was a tall alien with gray skin and 4 arms. His name was Krell, and his smile showed too many teeth. Krell walked to the center of the square and looked around. "Hello. Hello," he said. His voice was loud and cheerful, like he was greeting old friends. "What a nice little colony you have here. So clean, so organized, so full of healthy workers." Tejo stepped forward. "What do you want?" "Want?" Krell laughed. "I want many things. Money, power, a nice meal." He looked at the colonists, gathered around the square. "But today, I want workers. Strong backs for the mines. Pretty faces for the pleasure houses. You understand. We are a legal colony under Earth government protection," Tejo said. "If you take anyone, you will have the whole military looking for you." Krell laughed again. "The Earth military? Out here? Friend, we are so far from Earth that the light from their sun has not reached us yet. No one is coming to save you." He walked among the colonists, looking at them like a farmer looking at animals. He stopped in front of a young woman and grabbed her chin, turning her face left and right. The woman whimpered. "This one," Krell said. "I like her. She will sell well. Let her go." The voice came from behind the crowd. Yuna pushed her way forward. She walked right up to Krell and looked him in the eyes. Let her go. Now. Krell stared at her for a moment. Then he laughed, louder than before. Look at this. A brave one. I love the brave ones. They always break the most beautifully. He let go of the young woman and turned to face Yuna fully. And what will you do if I do not let her go, little human? Whatever I have to, Yuna said. Krell's smile disappeared. His forearms moved fast, faster than Yuna could see. One hand grabbed her throat. Another grabbed her arm. The other two pushed her to the ground. Yuna fell hard. The air knocked out of her lungs. You will do nothing, Krell said. His voice was cold now. You are weak. All of you humans are weak. You think your words and your laws and your governments mean something. They mean nothing. Out here, the only thing that matters is power. And I have it. You do not. He kicked Yuna in the ribs. She gasped in pain. Now, Krell said, turning back to the crowd. Let us continue. I need 20 workers. You can choose who goes, or I will choose for you. You have 1 hour. He walked away, leaving Yuna on the ground. His men spread out through the square. Keeping their guns ready, Tae-ho ran to Yuna and helped her sit up. Are you okay? Yuna nodded, but her face was tight with pain. Her ribs felt like fire. Where is Bora? I do not know. I told one of the workers to lock her in the storage building. I was afraid she would attack, and they would kill her. Yuna felt a cold fear run through her. Bora was locked away. She could not help. And these slavers were going to take 20 people from the colony, drag them away to terrible fates, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop them. Or was there? Yuna remembered that night, 6 months ago, when the Vorax pack came to the fence. She remembered how they looked at her with those red eyes. Not with hunger or hate. With something else. Curiosity, maybe. Or respect. They were still out there. She knew it. Bora had talked to them, and they had left peacefully. They were watching, waiting. Tae-ho. Yuna whispered. I need you to let Bora out. What? No. They will kill her. They will not. Trust me. Yuna grabbed his arm. Please, it is our only chance. Tae-ho looked at her for a long moment. He saw the certainty in her eyes. The faith. He did not understand it. But he trusted Yuna. She had never led the colony wrong before. Okay, he said. I will let her out. He stood up and walked away, trying to look casual. Krell's men watched him but did not stop him. Why would they? The colonists were no threat. Yuna stayed on the ground, holding her ribs. She watched Krell and his men. She watched the colonists, their faces full of fear and despair. She thought about the 20 people who would be taken, who would suffer and maybe die in some distant place, far from home. Not today, she thought. Not if I can help it. A howl broke the silence. It came from the edge of the colony. Long and loud and terrible. Krell and his men spun around, raising their guns. Bora stood at the entrance to the main square. Her eyes glowed bright red. Her teeth were bared. And she was not alone. Behind her, shadows moved. Dozens of shadows with red eyes. The pack had come. The square went silent. Every person, every slaver, every colonist, stopped moving. They all stared at the creatures that had appeared at the edge of the colony. Bora stood in front, her massive body blocking the entrance to the square. Her purple-black scales seemed to drink in the light. Her eyes burned like twin flames. Behind her, the pack spread out like a wave of darkness and teeth and glowing red eyes. Krell recovered first. He was a criminal who had survived many dangerous situations. He had faced angry pirates, corrupt officials, even military patrols. But he had never seen anything like this. Still, he forced himself to stay calm. Fear was weakness, and weakness meant death. What are these things? He asked one of his men, an alien who had been in the outer colonies for decades. Vorax, the man whispered. His voice shook. They are called Vorax. They are the most dangerous predators on this planet. How dangerous. Very. We should leave. Now. Right now. Krell looked at the Vorax, then at the colonists. He had come here for workers. He was not going to leave empty-handed just because of some animals. They are just beasts. We have guns. Kill them. His men raised their weapons. But before anyone could fire, Bora moved. She was fast. Faster than anything that big should be able to move. One moment she was at the edge of the square, the next she was in front of Krell's men. Her claws flashed, and two of the slavers fell, screaming. Their guns clattered to the ground. The other slavers fired. Their shots hit Bora's scales and bounced off, leaving only small burn marks. Bora did not even slow down. She swept through the slavers like a storm through dry leaves, knocking them down, tearing their weapons from their hands. Krell watched in disbelief. His men were well-trained fighters. They had conquered dozens of colonies, captured thousands of slaves. And this one creature was destroying them like they were children. He turned to run. He did not care about the slaves anymore. He did not care about anything except getting back to his ship and getting away from this nightmare planet. But Yuna was in his way. She had gotten up from the ground while everyone was watching Bora. She stood between Krell and his ship, her arms spread wide. Her face was pale with pain, but her eyes were steady. Move, Krell growled. No. Krell raised one of his 4 hands. In it was a small gun, a backup weapon he always kept hidden. I will kill you. Then do it. Yuna did not move. But you will not leave. Look. Krell looked. The pack had moved. While Bora was fighting the slavers, the other Vorax had circled around. They now stood between Krell and his ship. A wall of scales and teeth and red eyes. There was no way through them. Krell felt something he had not felt in a long time. Fear. Real, deep, cold fear. What do you want? He asked Yuna. What do you people want? We will leave. We will not take anyone. Just let us go. I do not think that is my choice anymore, Yuna said. Bora walked over. The fight was finished. Krell's men lay on the ground, most of them alive but wounded. Their weapons were scattered around the square, broken or too far to reach. Bora had not killed anyone, but she had hurt them badly enough that they would not fight again. She stopped next to Yuna and looked at Krell. Her eyes seemed to glow even brighter. Her mouth opened slightly, showing her long, sharp teeth. Blood dripped from her claws, dark blood and red blood and purple blood, all mixed together from the different species of slavers she had fought. Slowly, deliberately, Bora raised one paw to her mouth and licked the blood from it. Her eyes never left Krell's face. Then she spoke. Touch her again. The words were rough and strange, like they came from a throat not made for speaking, but they were clear. Everyone in the square heard them. Krell stumbled backward. It talks? Bora took a step forward. Touch her again, she repeated, her voice growing stronger. And we will devour you. Each of you. Piece by piece. Bone by bone. Until nothing is left. The other Vorax moved closer. They made low sounds in their throats, sounds that might have been agreement, or hunger, or both. Krell fell to his knees. His gun dropped from his shaking hand. He had seen many terrible things in his life. He had done many terrible things. But he had never felt terror like this. This was not just a threat. He could see it in the creature's eyes. She meant every word. Please, he begged. Please. We will go. We will never come back. Please. Bora looked at him for a long moment. Then she turned to Yuna. Her eyes softened. Her voice became gentler. What do you want, Mother? Should we kill them? Mother. The word hit Yuna like a wave. She had saved Bora as a cub, had raised her, had cared for her. But she had never thought. She had never imagined. No, Yuna said softly. No killing. Let them go. Bora tilted her head slightly. They hurt you. They wanted to take your pack away. They deserve death. Maybe they do. But I do not want their blood on my hands. Or on yours. Yuna reached out and touched Bora's face. right on that soft spot behind her ear. Please, Bora. For me. Bora closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, the rage was gone. In its place was something else. Love. Maybe. Or trust. For you, Bora said. Always for you. She turned back to Krell. Go. Take your pack and leave this world. If you return, if you hurt any human anywhere, we will know. We will find you. And we will finish what we started today. Krell nodded frantically. He scrambled to his feet and ran toward his ship, not even looking back at his fallen men. Some of the other slavers managed to get up and follow him. Others had to be carried by their companions. The Vorax watched them go. They did not attack. They did not chase. They just watched, their red eyes glowing in the dim light. The ship's engines roared to life. It lifted off the ground, shaking the buildings around the square. It rose higher and higher, until it was just a dark spot against the orange sky. Then it was gone. Yuna sat down on the ground. Her legs would not hold her anymore. The pain in her ribs, the fear, the relief. It was all too much. Bora lay down beside her. She rested her massive head on Yuna's lap, just like she used to do when she was a cub. She purred. Teho walked over slowly. He looked at Bora, at the blood still on her claws, at the wounded slavers being taken away by colonists. He looked at Yuna, sitting on the ground, with a Vorax in her lap. She talks, he said. The Vorax can talk. Yes, Yuna said. I did not know. Until now. She called you mother. Yuna smiled, even though it hurt. Yes, she did. Teho was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed. It was a strange sound in the middle of all this chaos and blood. But it was real. I guess you were right. She does protect you. Bora opened one eye and looked at Teho. I protect her, she said. I protect all of her pack. You are her pack. So I protect you too. Teho stopped laughing. He stared at Bora with wide eyes. Thank you, he managed to say. Bora closed her eye and went back to purring. The pack around them began to move away, disappearing back into the shadows at the edge of the colony. But Yuna knew they would not go far. They would stay close. They would watch. They would protect. Because Bora had made them understand something. The humans were not enemies. The humans were not prey. The humans were family. 1 year later, Varus 4 was a different place. The colony had grown. New buildings stood where empty ground used to be. New families had arrived from Earth. Drawn by stories of a world where humans and Vorax lived side by side, scientists came to study the creatures, artists came to paint them, writers came to tell their stories, and Yuna was at the center of it all. She still worked as a medic, but now she was also something else. A bridge, a translator, a mother to a creature that had become the most famous being in the outer colonies. Bora spent her days with Yuna, as always, but she also spent time with the pack. The leader, the large Vorax that had come to the fence that night long ago, was named Sarak. He was Bora's father, Yuna learned. He had been looking for his lost daughter when the pack first came to the colony. He had found her, and he had found something else too. A human who loved his child as much as he did. Sarak did not speak as much as Bora. The older Vorax found human language difficult. But he understood it, and he made his feelings known in other ways. When Yuna walked near the colony fence, he would appear from the forest and walk beside her on the other side. When she was sick, he would bring her fresh meat from his hunts, pushing it through gaps in the fence. When she was sad, he would sit quietly near her, his presence a comfort. The colonists had learned to accept the Vorax. They even started to work with them. The creatures were brilliant hunters, and they could find water and safe paths through the forest that humans never could. In return, the humans shared their medicine, and their technology, and their knowledge. It was a partnership unlike any in human history. But not everyone was happy. On a cold morning, a new ship arrived from Earth. It was clean and official, with government symbols on its sides. A group of soldiers stepped out, followed by a man in a gray suit. His name was Director Juan, and he worked for the Colonial Security Office. Tejo met him at the landing pad. "Director, we were not expecting you." "No, you were not." Juan looked around the colony with cold eyes. "I came because of reports. Disturbing reports. About creatures living inside the colony. About attacks on legitimate traders." "Legitimate traders?" Tejo felt anger rise in his chest. "You mean the slavers who tried to kidnap our people?" "That is not how they described it in their complaint." "Of course it is not. They are criminals." Juan smiled. It was not a nice smile. "That is for the courts to decide. Right now, I am here about the Vorax. I am told you have one living in the colony, a dangerous predator, allowed to walk freely among citizens. This is a violation of colonial safety regulations. Bora is not dangerous to us. That is not your decision to make." Juan pulled out a tablet. "I have orders to remove the creature from the colony. It will be transported to a research facility on Earth for study." "No." The word came from behind them. Yuna walked up, Bora at her side. The creature was calm, but her eyes watched Juan carefully. She did not like this human. She could smell the dishonesty on him. "No?" Juan raised an eyebrow. "I do not think you understand, miss. This is not a request. This is an order from the Colonial Security Office." "I do not care where your orders come from," Yuna said. "Bora is not a thing to be studied. She is a person. A thinking, feeling person. You cannot just take her." Juan laughed. "A person? It is an animal. A very interesting animal, I admit. The scientists will enjoy examining it." "Her," Yuna said. "Not it. Her." Bora stepped forward. She was much bigger than any of the humans, including the soldiers. Her scales gleamed in the morning light. Her eyes started to glow. "I am not going anywhere," Bora said. Juan jumped backward. He had read the reports about the Vorax speaking, but hearing it was different. His face went pale. "It, the creature. I am not a creature." Bora's voice was steady and strong. "I am Bora, daughter of Sarak, child of Yuna. I am Vorax. And I am also part of this colony. You cannot take me because I do not belong to you. I belong to myself." The soldiers raised their weapons. Bora did not move. She was not afraid. "Put those down," Tejo said. "Right now." "They are not going to shoot me," Bora said. "Are they, Director?" Juan hesitated. He had expected resistance, but not like this. The creature was intelligent, really intelligent. That changed everything. You could not just take an intelligent being and cut it open. Even the Colonial Security Office had rules about that. But there was another problem. If the Vorax were intelligent, truly intelligent, then they had rights. They could claim ownership of the planet. They could demand that the humans leave. The entire colony could be at risk. "We need to talk," Juan said finally. In private. The conversation lasted for hours. Yuna was there, and Tejo, and 3 of the colony's lawyers. Bora sat in the corner, listening to everything. Sometimes, she added her own comments, surprising the lawyers with her understanding of human law. In the end, they reached an agreement. The Vorax would be recognized as an intelligent species, with full rights under galactic law. The colony would remain, but as a shared territory between humans and Vorax. Any disputes would be settled by a joint council. Juan did not look happy, but he signed the documents. He had no choice. The evidence was clear. The Vorax were people, and you could not enslave or experiment on people. Before he left, Juan stopped in front of Yuna. "You know this changes everything," he said. "Humans have never shared a world with another intelligent species before. There will be problems, conflicts, maybe even wars." "Maybe," Yuna said. "But there will also be cooperation, friendship, love. That is what I choose to focus on." Juan shook his head. "You are naive." "No," Bora said. stepping up beside Yuna. She is human. Humans are strange. They see broken things and want to fix them. They see enemies and want to make them friends. They see impossible things and believe they can make them real. She looked at Yuna with glowing red eyes full of warmth. Yuna found me dying in a storm. Any sensible creature would have left me there, but she saved me. She loved me. She made me her family. Bora turned back to Juan. That is what humans do. They adopt the universe. They make it their home. And they protect it with everything they have. Juan had no answer to that. He got on his ship and left. And the colony watched him go. That night, there was a celebration. Humans and Vorax gathered together in the main square. They ate and drank and told stories. Sarek came down from the mountains with the whole pack. He sat next to Yuna and let her lean against his warm side. "Thank you," he said, speaking slowly and carefully in the human language. "For saving my daughter. For teaching her. For giving her a family." Yuna smiled. "I did not give her a family. She already had one. I just made it bigger." Bora lay at Yuna's feet, purring softly. She was exactly where she wanted to be. Where she belonged. The stars came out above Varus 4, thousands of lights in the dark sky. Somewhere out there were more worlds, more species, more adventures waiting to happen. Humans and Vorax would face them together, because that was what family did. They faced the universe together, and they protected each other no matter what. Yuna looked up at the stars and thought about her mother, who had died long ago on Earth. She wondered what her mother would think. Seeing her daughter sitting in an alien world, surrounded by creatures that could tear her apart, but chose to love her instead. She thought her mother would be proud. Bora made a soft sound. "What are you thinking about?" "Mother, family," Yuna said. "I am thinking about family." Bora closed her eyes and purred louder. "Good thoughts." "Yes," Yuna agreed. "The best thoughts." And they sat there together, human and Vorax, mother and daughter, watching the stars and dreaming of all the adventures still to come. The story of how a human medic saved a dying cub and changed two species forever would be told for generations. It would spread across the galaxy, inspiring hope and wonder wherever it went. But for Yuna, it was not a story, it was just her life. A life full of love and family and the knowledge that even the most dangerous creatures in the universe could become friends if you just gave them a chance. And that was the most human thing of all.